Hey guys, it's M4J here and welcome back to Global Ventures here on Planet Coaster. Now this week we are completely rebuilding the entrance that I built last time out. Basically it was not my best work. It's the first video in over a year I think that actually got a dislike on it, and I think that was quite justified in all honesty. So I'm going back to the drawing board here. I'm changing a few things and I've also got a little bit of help from the Steam Workshop to try and make things look a little bit nicer. So the first thing I'm doing here is rebuilding the railway again. I wanted to build this station a little bit closer to the actual entrance gateway. Excuse me, I just ate, so you'll have to bear with me there. Yeah, I wanted to build the railway a little bit closer to the front gate. I'm trying to avoid the Disney comparisons as much as I can, but it's very, very difficult to avoid the Disney comparisons when you build something that is heavily based on Disney. So Disneyland Paris is actually the main inspiration for the entranceway that I'm building here. In Florida Disney World, the Magic Kingdom, the entranceway is quite open, so you get off the boat or you get off the monorail, and then it's a big open plaza, and then you walk under the railway into the park. Disneyland in California is quite similar. There's the ticket gates on the exit to the plaza where California Adventure and the Disney, is it Downtown Disney? I think it's still called Downtown Disney, where all those are. And then you got the big plaza, and then you go into the park through the entrance gates, and then you walk under the railway and into the main park. Disneyland Paris, you actually walk under the Disneyland Hotel, and the entrance gates are built into that building. So that's what I wanted to go for with this. So Global Ventures has an entranceway very, very similar to Disneyland Paris in that respect. But to make that work, I needed to move the railway a little bit. So here you can see me rebuilding the tracks. Reconnecting it up to the peak of the Rocky section. I think the elevation here was a little bit too steep, so I had to do a little bit of chopping and changing to try and make it work. But again, I'm quite happy with the railway now. With the extended boundary of the park that we did last time out, it's made life a lot easier. I have had a bit of an issue here with some of the trees being in the way. I have now gone into the scenario editor and removed all of those trees, so we don't have that problem anymore. And I thought the gradient on the railway was a little too steep and the trains would speed up a little bit too much. But actually they're okay. They're not too bad. Now this bit here, I'm going to talk about this building. This is an SNCF inspired railway station and it looks awesome. It was perfect for what I wanted to go in at the entrance to this railway here. It was actually going to be built on the opposite side of the tracks, but I wanted to test it out on this side first. However, for some reason, and I've looked it up on Google and I couldn't really find an answer. For some reason it won't let me place it. Even up in the air it won't let me place it. The only sort of solution that it came up with was perhaps there was DLC that I didn't own. But I think the only DLC at this moment in time that I don't own are the Back to the Future Monsters and whichever the third one was, the little go-kart thing add-on way back when. And the Ghostbusters DLC I also don't own. So maybe it's the Ghostbusters one I'm thinking. But when you haven't got the DLC, it'll still let you download the asset off the workshop, but it won't let you place it. And that was the problem that I had there. So I kind of came up with a temporary solution, which was to combine two other buildings together. I didn't actually do that on camera, but you'll see it at the start of next episode. And it kind of works. It looks okay, but even now I'm not 100% sure. Now this building here, this is the new entrance to Global Ventures. It's meant to be a French themed castle. However, what I have done is take out these walls here, and this is going to be the new entranceway. So each entrance is going to be in one of these grids. There's 4 entrances in total. And yeah, I'm very, very happy with this final design actually. I think this building is a really, really nice example of how to build things right, let's say. And the fact that I'm now incorporated it into the entrance, it pretty much fits the exact idea that I had. So I've been to Disneyland Paris twice, and both times I was always intrigued as to the way that they designed the entrance. I can't actually remember what comes after the hotel. All I remember is the Disneyland Hotel over the top of the entrance gate. But I really like it. I think it's a really, really cool idea. And you can see here, I actually placed the gates the wrong way around this time, but I'll place them the right way around in just a second. There we go. And now this park starts to get a bit more of an identity. So last time out I was talking about I wasn't sure whether or not the opening act of the park, should we say the opening area, the first place that you walk into when you first arrive, I wasn't sure whether that bit would be French themed or whether there'd be a section between the entranceway and the Legend of the Frontier section that would be French themed. I did some thinking between episodes, and I've basically decided that the opening entranceway of the park, the Welcome Plaza as it used to be, that will now be a French themed area, and I'm still trying to come up with a name for it. One of the ideas I've been toying with is to include Jules Verne in the name of the area, because a lot of the rides in this area of the park are going to be inspired by Jules Verne novels, as I said last time out. So it kind of made sense to have that as a feature, should we say, to have Jules Verne's name in there somewhere. So like Boulevard de Verne or something along those lines is what I was thinking of, but I'll need to come back to that. It's not a huge deal right now, because now I have a theme in mind. I can just build this area of the park and then come up with the name at a later date. But yeah, I wanted to just throw some ideas out and see what stuck, really. This is me messing around with the pathing system. For those of you that didn't watch the 1K streams last week, one of the questions I was asked was what were my favourite and least favourite things about the games that I play on the channel. And I think everyone who plays Planet Coaster would say the same thing for least favourite. The pathing system is a bit of a nightmare at the best of times. It's a real struggle. I've actually done a good job with it, all things considered. I'm quite happy with the result. This bit here, again, I was struggling a little too much to try and make this work. And I think at this point, there we go, that's where it finally clicks. And I got to the stage where I just thought, I'm happy with it as is, I'm not going to make any more drastic changes. And at this point I start building the proper entranceway that goes underneath the rail tracks, round towards the Seine, as the river's known at this point, because it's more of a Parisian type area, and then back round under the tracks again and link up with the entrance plaza. So this is our entrance pretty much done. I kind of like the fact that the pathway makes a heart shape there as well. I think that looks quite cool. This is the first sort of themed bit. Again, this is off the Steam Workshop. I will try and remember to include all the links in the description. There might be some people out there who aren't a big fan of the fact that I'm using workshop assets in the park, but I think, I mean, yeah, I pre-planned for this. I had a feeling some people might be a bit finicky about it, but the thing I would say is, would you have a go at a bricklayer for not making his own bricks? And personally, I wouldn't. Some people might, but at that point, it's beyond help, really. But I think using these things creatively actually adds to the essence of the park. And I have no problems myself using workshop items. I think some of these assets are very, very well made. This particular scene here, the French, sort of stereotypical French courtyard with a coffee shop and, well, a cafe it would be in this case, a boulangerie, that kind of thing. I think it really, really adds to the ambiance that I'm trying to build here. And yes, I'm deliberately using French words. But yeah, I noticed after that I'd built this little area, I built a couple more buildings in a second. I noticed these little like archways and back alleys that had been designed. It kind of reminded me a lot of the French Pavilion at Epcot. There's all these little passageways and alleyways and little openings that you wouldn't necessarily know were there. And with the new Ratatouille ride that's due to be opening soon, there's going to be even more added content, shall we say, to that area. So stay tuned for that, because I've got some plans for what to put in that little backstage area behind all of that. So this point here, I'm linking the railway back up to form the complete loop again. And this is the time where we say goodbye to the old Welcome Plaza, which I really liked, I must be honest. The actual area for it, the area was a bit tight and a bit cramped, and this entranceway in particular was awful. That was my first attempt at a custom building, and you can really see that. But the whole idea of the little lake in front of the railway there, and then the fairy tale buildings around it, the station building up top there as well, I really liked it. And it's a shame that it doesn't fit in with the new theme, because I would have just carried that over. And the old Somerset Avenue as well is gone. as well as the what used to be the entranceway to the failed attempt at Round the World in 80 Days themed attraction. Again, stay tuned for that in just a second. The old Emporium as well, the old souvenir shop, that's all gone. Some of it I might try and recreate in the Somerset Avenue outside the park now. It won't have actual storefronts in it, but it will be designed to look like the old building. Because I thought the architecture was okay. It kind of fitted in with like a universal, universal as in for all, rather than Universal the brand. Kind of fitted in with a Universal themed area, like a generic themed area. And I thought it was alright. I was quite happy with it. Again, that was sort of my first attempts at doing custom building, so I was quite happy with that. But yeah, say goodbye to the old entrance. It's all now gone. And then I flatten out the land, and I rebuild the railway to link it all up again. So that area between the French themed area and the frontier themed area, that is going to go into something else. We will have a new area of the park, and instead of coming up with a new one from scratch like I did for the French themed area, I'm actually going to have a look at my rides list. I think there's a link to it in the description. If not, I'll add it to my website so that you guys can check it out. But yeah, I'll come up with an idea based on that, and then we'll start building some rides based on that as well. This is me just linking up the railway one final time, and I think now it is working. Yes. And at this point, I realise, oh, we got some more buildings that we can place down. So I kind of wanted the railway at the French themed area here to sort of emerge from the tunnel where the Egyptian themed area is, Valley of the Nile. I wanted to emerge from a tunnel and be on an embankment with buildings either side of it. That was the plan, and I think to an extent it will be realised, that plan. Some of it is, again, it won't be exactly how I originally envisaged it, but it'll be as close to as possible. Something else I realised at this point is some of these buildings I placed down actually have storefronts in them. So you can see here I'm just building some stuff, connecting it all up. Those two stalls there, they are food stalls at the time that I placed them down, but I replaced them with information. Mainly because this Monsieur Frites here, I wanted to use for food and drink. It looks more like a traditional French cafe. And then the other building becomes guest services, guest relations, whatever you want to call it. Basically where you get your annual passes from and things like that. And in this case, you get your priority passes from there as well. Here I'm doing a little bit of rebuilding. I wanted to move these two buildings apart. And again, I said this in the 1K streams. You can't actually put two storefronts together like that and connect the two pathways up. Which I do think is a big oversight in the design of the game. It's not the worst thing in the world, but it's also not the most convenient. And I had a couple of issues here as well, just trying to get this path to go through the building properly. I feel like if they do a sequel, they should snap the pathing grid to the building grid. So if you have an existing building, a bit like currently in the game, if you have a ride and a ride station, you can build a building to snap to that grid. And I think they need to do the same with the pathing system. So if you have an existing building or an existing pathway, you should be able to snap a building or pathway to it. And I think that would make the building system a lot easier to actually use. But yeah, at this point here I'm just placing a new floor in and doing some other things just to make this all look neat and tidy again. And I think I do eventually place a wall across the back to fill that little gap there as well. There it goes. Any second now. Again, I really struggled to get this in. There's just something about the system. It feels a bit off. I don't know if I've actually blocked that store or not. That member of staff was walking towards it and then turned away as soon as I placed it. So I don't quite know what's going on there. We'll have to see. But I am going to stop talking in a minute and let the music take over as I build the first attraction of the Parisian themed area. This is one of those little hidden alleyways that I was talking about, and I think this actually will play into the theming of the ride that you'll see me build in a second. How that's going to work I don't 100% know yet, but I just have an idea of wanting to include it, wanting to incorporate it. That's one of the little passageways there, and then there's another one that comes out of this building here. So the building passageway is going to be the exit to the ride, and and then the one under the tree that then heads snakes behind the building and into the alleyway there, that's going to be the entrance to the ride. You can see I'm just messing around with this a little bit more. And now we come to the ride. So this is going to be around the world in 80 days. It fits perfectly into the idea of Jules Verne, which is what this section of the park is based on. And also, because Global Ventures is a trip around the world, you may remember right back at the very start of the series, I wanted to build an around the world in 80 days attraction to kind of be the entrance way to the park. So you kind of, that's the first ride that you find as you enter the park. So you can either do a around the world tour, or you can go manually around the world and visit all of the attractions. That was the idea, and I still like that idea, which is why I'm including it here, because it actually, again, in terms of the park style, it fits perfectly. You have this French area as the welcome plaza, and then it has around the world in 80 days as its one of its signature attractions. So I was toying with what ride system to use. I actually liked the idea of this boat system. But then I had an idea to use this boat system maybe somewhere else in the park. So then the plan shifted to using a tracked dark ride system. I wanted to use the cars again like I did originally, but there's so many new rides that have been added to the game since then. I almost felt like it just wasn't worth reusing that old idea. So I started using the ride that is based on the Tomorrowland People Mover at Disney World. I tried using that, and to an extent it works, but then ultimately it's a transport ride, this system, and it's a little bit too slow going up slopes. And I haven't tested all the other rides, they might also be slow going up slopes, but I just felt like this was a bit too big for what I wanted to do. Plus, I mean, the ride that I build here is also way too big, so you can see me really struggling to contain it. So I am going to sort of rework this, shall we say. I might replace the system with an actual track system, maybe just use the ghost train type system, and see if that will work. But I'm going to experiment over the next couple of episodes with different ideas and different systems, and then we'll try and theme this to around the world in 80 days. But yeah, I'm going to stop talking now, and I'm going to let you watch this last bit get built. You'll see what I mean by how big this is. In terms of dark ride, it's probably quite realistic in size when you compare it to Universal and Disney. But for me, trying to build it and then theme it, it's going to be an absolute nightmare. So I think I will scale it back a little bit. Plus, it's also meant to just be a little opening attraction to the park. It's not supposed to be like an e-ticket or anything like that. So yeah, it will definitely get scaled back. That's a little bit there. You see the train stop. I was going to incorporate that alleyway into that area, so you kind of look out across Paris. Because I mean, the book and the film starts in London, but the first place they do visit is Paris. So it's kind of you're not starting at the beginning of Phineas Fogg's journey, but you're joining him just after the first leg. That'll be the theme of the attraction. Then you go all the way around all the world, and then you finally arrive back in London, and then you exit into Paris again. And at that point, a lot of ride designers sort of give up and go, "Oh, you're leaving the ride anyway. What difference does it make?" But yeah, I am going to leave things here, guys. So thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to hit the like button if you enjoyed the video, and of course if you're enjoying the series. And if you do dislike the video for whatever reason, that is absolutely fine. It is what the dislike button was made for at the end of the day. Drop some comments down below with ideas for future episodes. If you can come up with a better idea for what system to use for this attraction, do let me know, because I'm always looking for ideas better than my own, for sure. Anything that could improve what I'm working on here is always greatly appreciated. Besides that, if you haven't already subscribed to the channel, be sure to hit the subscribe button. If you have already subscribed to the channel, thank you guys for your continued support. And until next time, enjoy the time lapse, enjoy the music, and I'll see you soon.